1.
070707 and welcome to Frameshift Live 22. It's our bi-weekly show and war is upon us. Bruce, my co-host, my compadre, my brother in arms, more likely to stab me in the back. But welcome to our show. Welcome to this very sort of jam-packed edition of Frameshift Live. Bruce, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited. This is a bumper stream. We've got two special guests that we'll be talking to, telling us all about Update 14, which obviously dropped just 2 days ago.
It did.
And all of the war and doom and gloom that has come with it.
So. It's been a while. I think players were nervous about 14, about these rogue signals were spotted some time ago and seen traversing towards human-controlled space. But three have now landed with quite a splash, I think is the word.
That is a word for it, definitely. No, nice to know that all of their fears and concerns were actually nothing to worry about, and actually it's absolutely
fine. All fine. It's all fine.
This is fine. Before we crack on the show, should we say hello to some of our guests? So 07 everyone, I'll read out a few names and then hand it over. So we've got Tops, Psy Gaming Commander, Scooby, hello, Alexander, Linux, Callus, Apaphus, hello, Reborn, Crazy Boy, Floor, I think it was just Commander Floor. I was going by too quickly now. Hello,
UD345, Jimmy Nayor, Commander Earthquake, I think it was Doom Hamster, which is amazing, Dark Karass, Kraken, Linsby 57, Wrathborn, Commander Works, Beetle G, I just saw go past there. Oh my, there's a lot of people in here today, Bruce. 0707, welcome. Thank you for joining us. So if you don't know what this show is, this is our as right at the start, it's our bi-weekly show that we do obviously every 2 weeks, where we talk about all things in-game, community-driven, just news as well, and any features and stuff that may have dropped. Now, obviously, this week we've got a fair bit to talk about, Bruce, because some things have happened. But do you want to run through some of the housekeeping stuff? Because there are some Twitch drops, and I know some of the eagle-eyed have spotted some of the stuff that's listed for Twitch drops. But, Bruce, I know you love this. I know this is your favourite part of any show, is where you get to go through the timings for Twitch drops.
Yeah, absolutely. So in case you're new to the show, or if you're interested in the new cycle of Twitch drops, I'll talk about what we have for you today. So anytime you're watching one of the official Elite Dangerous live streams, asterisk, because we're going to add some more to that in a bit, but whenever you're watching one of our shows on the Frontier or Elite Dangerous channels over on Twitch, you can be earning time towards some unique cosmetics that you won't be getting elsewhere. One of them is a welcome set of purple Twitch drops that is available all the time. Mm-hmm. The only caveat is the longest we're allowed to run, just because the way Twitch works, any given Twitch drops campaign is 28 days. So let's say you're halfway through this list and then those 28 days tick over, you will have to start again, but you will be able to get them all still, and we make sure there's plenty of time for that in a given month. That set consists of the Ancestral Tattoo Pack after the first 15 minutes. Half an hour will get you the purple flight suit, 1 hour gets you the purple SRV and fighter colours, an hour and a half gets you the purple weapon and engine colours, and then after 2 hours you pick up the vibrant purple paint jobs. And in addition to that, you also have the Explorer, Passenger and Wings nameplate packs tacked onto those last 3 as little bonuses. Just a reminder, like I say, claim all of them within the same 28 days, otherwise if it ticks over, you can earn them up again. But we're streaming usually for a couple hours per stream, and about twice usually within a 28-day cycle, so plenty of opportunity to pick those up. In addition, we have seasonal paint jobs, which tick over usually every 3 months or so. We switch these up.
Yeah, roughly. So with the seasons, I guess, is the way to do it.
That's what we aim for, anyway. So we just finished the autumn set. Hopefully, many of you will have picked those up.
Does that mean it's Christmas, Bruce?
It does mean it's Christmas. We are officially in full-on Christmas mode. So winter is actually going to start in January, and throughout all of December this month, we're giving away some Christmas-themed paint jobs instead. So we're going to have 2 on today's show, and then 2 on our next show on the 15th, which we'll talk a little bit more about at the end of this live stream. So for today, if you are watching this show, like I say, on the official channels, you'll have the opportunity to pick up the Diamondback Explorer Snowfall Holly version.
Oh, look at it! Look at it!
So this is the Snowfall set, which we're doing for Christmas all month round. And there'll be a number of variations of this. Actually, if we tick over to the Crate Phantom one, that looks super nice as well. There's going to be a number of ways to pick up this set. It has loads of different colours. We've got a red one, a green one, a purple one, a gold one. And yeah, I really like the way these came out. I think they're super nice.
Yeah.
So these 2 are up for grabs today. after 15 minutes of watching today's show, as long as your Twitch and Frontier accounts are connected. And I'll remind you how to do that at the end of this little bit. So yeah, hopefully you like the look of those. I think they came out great.
And it's 15 minutes and you get them, right? So,
that's it.
So easy peasy, easy peasy. So thank you, Bruce, for going through the Twitch drops. It's always a fun part. But that's not all. You don't have to watch the official streams. What else do we for drops?
Yeah, that's right. So we recently started doing Twitch drops for all of our streamers online as well. So if you're watching Elite Dangerous content on Twitch that's not just the official live streams, then you can get more paint jobs even. So we actually have the purple version of the Snowfall set showing on screen now, and these ones are going to be available for any of our content creators. So if you're streaming on Twitch, you'll have access to, I think, for anyone in the partner program, you'll get the first three. I think it's the first three on the left. I'll have to be corrected in real time, but one of them is going to be the one that's available to all streamers as well for giving away. So yeah, make sure you're checking out Elite Dangerous content outside of our own official live streams if you want to pick up these ones as well. I'm trying to remember the name of this one. Oh yeah, it's the party set. So yeah, the Snowfall Party is that variant.
It's the name right at the top there, Bruce. It's just
Purple
there.
Yeah, there
it's right there. It's on the top.
I was too distracted by the actual beautiful.
Yeah, the party was going on. Yeah, that's
themselves.
good. That's good. So that's good. So there's our partner program, and anyone streaming Elite Dangerous, you'll get a chance to turn yourself a skin, which is really, really cool.
Absolutely. And all you have to do to be eligible for that is, like I say, watch the streams and make sure your accounts are connected. So to do that, head over to twitch.frontierstore.net/elite and just link up your Twitch and Frontier accounts. Obviously, make sure it's the Frontier account associated with your Elite Dangerous profile so that we know where to send you your paint jobs.
Someone asked, my 5-year-old distracted me, how do I get those party set paint jobs? Well, watch any one of our official partner programs will get you the majority of that set, but anyone that's streaming Elite Dangerous will be able to give away one of the, we're not sure which one it is.
I think it's the Type 9.
I think it'll be the Type 9, you get the Type 9 for watching anyone that streams. Is it 15 minutes or a bit longer?
I don't know off the top of my head. We'll have to get back to you on that.
We'll double check. If someone from my team can give me the correct timings, we'll get that out to you. 30 minutes to watch a partner program, thank you, or one of the other streamers, and it'll earn yourself a ship skin. So basically, just watch some Elite Dangerous content that's not our ugly mugs on screen, and you'll be fine.
Those ones are going to be available throughout the whole month as well, up till I think the 29th, I believe. So basically, starting from today up until the 29th, you'll be able to get those. Again, it's that 28-day situation where that's the longest we can run a given Twitch drop campaign. And like I say, there's going to be other variants as well of the same Snowfall set available in other ways as well, but you'll have to stay tuned and find out what those are as the month continues.
Yes.
I think that rounds off our Twitch drops.
So that's some things, giving some things away. We've got something else as well today, right, Bruce?
Yeah, it's not just that. So I have to give a special shout out to Sally for this one, who's put a lot of work in to make this happen. To celebrate another year of Elite Dangerous, I appreciate we're coming right to the end of a whole solar cycle.
Wow, yes, we are.
And to celebrate that, we're giving away a very exclusive,
one of a kind
gaming chair, where we've partnered up with Overclockers and Noble Chairs to create this glorious seat. And like I say, one of a kind, only one of these exists, and we're going to be giving it away to one lucky commander. This competition has only just gone live, so if you want to enter, it's a Gleam competition, which means you can enter in a number of ways. It's things like following us on Twitter, retweeting the competition tweet and that sort of stuff. And the more entries you do, obviously, the more chances you're in with more. The more ways you enter, the more you're in with a shout to actually pick this up. The only caveat is we can only deliver this within the EU, the UK, or the US, and for the EU it's non-Russia, I'm afraid. That's just because delivery is one of our constraints. But yeah, if you're within those regions, then head over to our Gleam competition to check that out. !Noble Chairs. If you're on Twitch, we'll link you straight to the competition, but also check out our social channels as well for more information. That's very cool. I'm very glad that we're giving away this really cool one-off.
Yeah, look, we've got other things in mind, and like so, we've got a Christmas stream coming up, or a holiday special coming up, which we'll talk about in a little while.
Which is where we're going to announce the winner of this competition, in fact.
Yeah, so it's in 2 weeks' time, so it'll be our last stream of the year, which will be our holiday special. On that stream, we're going to have a lot of, well, we'll talk a little bit about it now. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have some of our developers on. We are mainly focusing on just celebrating the year so far. It's been a busy year. A lot of stuff's happened. A lot of stuff is happening at the moment, so we're going to have some fun and games whilst on stream. We'll have some prizes to give away, I'm sure, and a few surprises of equal nature. So we're looking forward to that one. Do you mind? We're trying to have a show. Do you want to? Thanks. Sorry. No. Yeah, the other way. You just can't get the staff. Anyways, so what's next on our list, Bruce?
So we can move on to the in-game news part of our show. Should we do a sexy transition? Here it comes. So good, love that. And
So
Elite
good.
Dangerous news this week. So actually, before we kick off all of the in-game stories that have happened, because oh boy, there's been some story happening.
There has been some narrative has been happening, has been occurring.
A lot of stuff's been occurring. Before we talk about that, we had an announcement about a week ago. I think it was on Wednesday,
What's
so
the 23rd?
8 days ago.
Yep.
We announced to everyone that we would be creating legacy and live modes and what that would mean for the game. So we wanted to touch on that a little bit and just summarize it. So, like I say, in that announcement, and you can check this out for yourself with !legacy to see the post in case you missed it, we've converted essentially versions 3.8 and 4.0 into legacy and live modes respectively. And what that means is that the legacy mode is essentially going to be a frozen version of the game up until update 14. So if you wanted to take part in the game and enjoy the galaxy as it existed essentially up till then, you're going to be able to do that. And everything that comes after update 14 and onwards is going to exist within the live version of the game. So all the new updates and narrative and all that stuff is going to be added there. And within that, obviously, you've got your Horizons and Odyssey. So it's not like you have to buy Odyssey to take part in the live stuff anymore.
No, you have it immediately, yeah.
It's available to all players. So, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that happened. I mean, I'm sure there might be some questions in there, but I think the easiest way to explain it is obviously that we're trying to give as many players the opportunity to play together as possible. So if you're playing Odyssey and you want to step and playing Horizons with Horizons friends, you can do that.
Yep.
If you want to remain in sort of Legacy Galaxy, that option is also available to you. But just to be clear, that when you're in the Legacy Galaxy, essentially is a separate entity. So it doesn't cross over in any way, shape or form. It includes fleet carriers and stuff like that. They don't interact in any way, shape or form. So just bear that in mind. If you're spending any length of time in one, it won't transfer over to the other. So that's happened. It's a pretty big deal. That was one thing that happened. Then there's been, and then on Tuesday there was a slight happening of update 14 landed in the literal sense.
A minor patch was added to the game that changed a few things around. So of course, update 14 landed, and we're going to go into everything that has impacted and all the implications and story and mechanics, etc. Before we do dive into all of that, we do want to reassure some of you who have raised issues affecting the BGS as a result of some of those changes, just to let you know and reassure you that we have seen it. We are investigating all of those things, and we'll let you know when we're taking our next steps towards that.
It's a huge update. Obviously, we just discussed what it's brought to the game. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and we're aware of some of the issues that have been raised. We are actively investigating all of these issues. Some of the big issues, some of the small issues, but we are aware of them. We are hopefully communicating outwards that on our forums and on our socials that we are aware and investigating. When we have answers, we'll obviously let you know. That includes stuff like exobiology. I know there's been some, it's been increased. We're just assessing whether that's been increased a little bit too much, but we'll come back to you on that one as well. So we're having a look at all that sort of stuff. It's not going unnoticed. We are working it, but until we have actually something to say, we'll just keep investigating until we have a solution for you. So thank you, as always, for your patience and your feedback. We are obviously actively listening. There's a lot going on. The team working very, very hard behind the scenes, as I'm sure you are all aware.
Shall we move on to what's been happening in the story then? So
Not much.
there's just a couple of minor stories. So I've actually picked out 3 of the key things that happened in the past week or so, just to bring us to where we are now. I don't want to dwell too long. There's some stuff that we kind of have to mention, of course, but like I said, we've got 2 special guests coming on later, so let's hop right into it. On the 24th of November, the Kingfisher megaship vanished. So contact was lost with the Kingfisher megaship in the Hyades sector YO-QB5-1 system just over a day since its arrival. The Kingfisher was equipped to transmit signals to the interstellar anomaly named Tyrannus, with the goal of opening communications with it, should such a possibility exist. Over 3,000 supporters of the Xeno peace movement were aboard the megaship when it departed from the Andavandal system.
But not everyone was on board. Some people couldn't make it. Some people were
Too
busy. Diary clash happens. It does happen, Bruce.
You pencil these things in and you try
you champion a cause. You go to this effort to get 3,000 people involved in the cause. It's a megaship. And then for whatever reason, on the day you sail, you're like, oh, I forgot. There's a sail on at Tesco's, and I need to get the month's worth.
Leave the oven on.
Leave the oven on. I'll get the next ship. So, the following news piece, which for this individual, not mentioning no. So my Teams is absolutely covering my screen, so I actually can't see what I'm supposed to say. Here we go. Right. So, 2 seconds, but hold with me, caller, please. So then, on the 25th of November 3308, the Xeno peace supporters were killed by the Thargoids. So investigations to the Hades sector YO-QB5-1 system have confirmed that Thargoid vessels attacked and destroyed the Kingfisher megaship. Vox Galactica published this on the scene report from field correspondent Ernesto Rios. Independent and federal sources have verified that the Kingfisher was struck by multiple barrages from Thargoid weaponry. Medical teams are currently exploring the wreckage from the megaship in search of crew and passengers. Sadly, from what I've seen, the scale of damage suggests that the chances of survival are extremely low. So the Kingfisher mystery was not a mystery for very long, as the wreckage has been found. Thargoids weren't particularly friendly. No handshakes were given.
No, it seems like communication was not really, well, it was established in a sense.
Aggressive negotiations, I think, is what Padme calls it in Star Wars. So they negotiated pretty aggressively.
I would agree.
But yeah, so not a sticky end. But it's all right, though, because some people didn't get on board the ship, so they're okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what matters, isn't it? A very fortunate sort of turn of events for a particular individual. And then on the 29th of November 3308, a Pilots Federation alert went out. So Tyrannus unleashed Thargoid invasion fleets. The Tyrannus anomaly arrived in the Hades sector FB-N B7-6, triggering a ferocious wave of Thargoid attacks in the region. Multiple inhabited systems are experiencing wide-scale invasions by countless numbers of Thargoid vessels, with casualties expected to number millions in the coming days. Several systems have already reported a complete loss of human control, with ports abandoned amid heavy losses. Yeah,
it's not good. This is, I think it's fair to say this is a significant step change in Elite Dangerous history. For the first time, we're seeing the Thargoids engaging humans in a concerted, prolonged assault, and this is with equipment that is new, that has not been experienced by commanders, a level of aggressiveness that we have not seen before.
New vessels.
Thargoids are actually now interdicting in systems. They are immediately aggressive. There's a lot still for the players to discover about behaviours and stuff around Thargoids. And this morning, 2 more of these entities have now arrived in various systems, and there are still 5 travelling ever inwards. So humanity is facing a very dark time for players in the Elite Dangerous galaxy. So I think it's time for whatever you're going to do. I think the thing about this particular conflict that we find ourselves in is there is something there for all players, and I just want to be clear on this. Yes, it is. We find ourselves on a war footing. Some of you would not have wanted to be in this position, actively tried to not be here, but this is the situation we find ourselves in. There are places you can be to not engage in any of this activity. If you want to support this conflict, you can, obviously, in the most direct way in combating the Thargoids, but there are other means, which I'm sure we'll go into more detail later on. But there's stuff here for players that like to trade, that like to rescue. There are obviously stuff there for combat. But this is an engagement on an unprecedented scale, Bruce. I think you'd agree that this... and seeing players' reactions to this has been phenomenal for us. From the team and the development team, it's been incredible to watch you engage with this. And this is, I guess, really it was Thursday, so this is day 3 of this.
Day 3.
This is only day 3, and this does not look like this is going to be a flash in the pan by any means.
Oh, no, this we're in for the long haul. So time to strap in, and like Arthur, exactly as you've said, if you can contribute and you want to, there are a number of ways you could do that. And to tell us more about all of that, I actually sat down with Tom Kuehl from our design team earlier in the week. So in a moment, we're going to roll that interview, and hopefully you enjoy it. And then we'll be back later with another special guest to talk about all of the mechanics in Update 14 and how you can participate. So we hope you enjoy. Hello everyone, and welcome to our interview with a special guest. As promised, I'm joined by the magnificent Tom Kuehl. welcome.
Thank you. Well, magnificent. I'm very kind.
I tried to come up with a new word for every guest each time, and I landed on that one for yourself.
Fantastic.
It's apt, I think.
Okay.
For anyone who hasn't experienced your magnificence before, would you care to introduce yourself and explain your role at Frontier and possibly the hand you've had in at Update 14 as well, which is obviously only just come out?
Sure. Hello, I'm Tom. I'm one of the designers on Elite. I've been doing lots of stuff. Update 14, as I hope you're discovering now, is absolutely packed full of content. So I've been looking at scenarios, I've been getting stuck in with missions, looking at the sort of wider war context of everything. And yeah, just generally, fingers in every single pie, I think, this update.
Definitely. No, you've got far-reaching fingers, I guess.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it thumbs? No, it's fingers.
Definitely fingers, yeah. No, you can only reach 2 pies with your thumbs.
That's true. Not enough pies.
There you go. But yeah, so actually nothing like your debut on the stream, though, is it? You've been actually with us a few times now to talk about design, so a pleasure to have you on again.
Thank you.
So yeah, as you mentioned, Update 14 has just come out and you've had a hand in all sorts of bits for it. On the last stream, Arthur and I very coyly mentioned a new Thargoid interceptor as one of the little teasers that we wanted to get people excited about. And given that the update is so fresh, it's likely to be the case that actually most of our audience probably haven't actually seen the new interceptor yet, because it is hot off the press. However, we are willing to talk a little bit more about it now that it's all out into the wild, so to speak. So could you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been, ever since we started talking about this as a piece of content, or as something that we could bring up on the live stream, I've been trying to think, we should come up with a really cool code name, a sort of secret word to refer to this thing as. But I think, the crucial thing to know about Project Big Boy, I don't know, what do we call him? He's filling a bit of a gap that we thought we saw in the role, in the sort of the Thargoids as a war machine, which is they have lots of scary destroyers, fighters. Their ships can frankly take on our capital ships.
Right.
They can take on the human race's capital ships and often win. I know our players can do incredible things to make them look quite easy to kill, but certainly from my perspective, and I think from the average player's perspective, they're quite difficult to kill. They're heavy combatants, but how do they move resources around? How do they enact a war? How do they lay down the equipment that's needed to observe humanity, to take control of a system, to conquer an entire billion people group of humans that are in a place?
Right.
So the authoress, I think we're safe to let the name of the new one out, is that it's designed to carry. They're all she's, aren't they? I should say. They're designed to carry cargo. It is used to deploy equipment. It's part of that role is it's not then going to turn around and open fire on combatants. It's there to do a sort of a support role, and so it relies on other Thargoids in the area to defend it, sometimes even acting as a beacon to sort of summon in reinforcements when it's feeling like it's under threat. One of my favourite things about it, and something that we really wanted to explore more with the Thargoids in general in this update, is it has a very narrow field of view. So most of our Thargoids can see sort of like chameleons. I'm going to do
almost
really helpful things with my hands. Yeah, so they've got an incredible sort of peripheral view and really, really good sensors as well. So they can sort of detect you from miles away if you're running at all hot, and even if you're not, when you get close, they can usually at least spot you enough to sort of chase you down, even if their accuracy goes a little bit. But this guy, he's very much blinkers on. He is thinking about the Thargoid probe in front of him. He's thinking about the next equipment he's going to lay down.
Right.
And it's really nice because it gives you the opportunity to feel a bit sneaky, to get close, stay behind him, stay out of that field of view, and keep and observe what he's doing. We put the scenario in the hands of some of our team members who are a little bit more familiar with anti-Thargoid combat, and their first instinct was to like dive straight towards this thing and be like, right, the only good Thargoid is a dead Thargoid.
Sure.
They
Guns
seem
blazing.
to say,
Yeah.
and so went in guns blazing, and they had a good time. They were enjoying a bit of combat. They got to enjoy trying to catch this slippery little guy before he zipped off into witch space. But I think what was really nice was for those that we play tested it with, who are a little bit more into observing the sort of natural gameplay and things like that, they were able to sort of stay back. They were able to keep at a range. They were able to watch what they were doing and sort of try and learn something about what the intention of this new Thargoid ship is.
Sure. No, that's really interesting. So I suppose this provided actually kind of a unique opportunity, to your first point, to sort of expand our understanding of how Thargoids as a species operate, their structures, their sort of relationships, how they organize and sort of achieve the things they want to achieve. I'm hesitant to refer to them as like a military, because we don't know how sort of accurate or not that is, but at least, like you say, looking at the authoress has given us a chance to say, hey, they can play specific roles besides pure combat.
I think
super interesting.
I always like asking questions like, how do the Thargoids go to the toilet? What does
Right.
it look like when a Thargoid operates a computer? How do they check their Twitter, or whatever the version of Twitter that Thargoids have is?
Sure.
Because as much as that doesn't need to become part of the game, it does need to be something that we as developers can think about and say, okay, as you say, how does this society function? How do they work? And again, this doesn't mean we need to get Ben and be like, right, write me a diary from the perspective of a Thargoid teenager describing what their life is like in minute detail, but to just sort of know what their day-to-day life could be like, what their essential functions are, right? I think it gives you a really good spot to then think about what their behavior should be in all of these different contexts.
Sure. And I like what you said, that point about its periphery of vision being a bit narrower. That makes total sense because it's focused on a singular objective, as opposed to, say, the more combat-oriented interceptors, which will need a wider range of detection.
Yeah, it's neither predator or prey.
Sure.
It's a sort of pack horse type animal, and that's its job, as you say. So it's just focused on doing its job, and I think the nice thing is it can do that knowing it'll have support from the more combat-orientated Thargoids that are
Right.
around it. So I think again that all feels viable, right, as a sort of an animal behaviour.
Yeah, definitely. No, that all makes sense. And when you were talking about, so going back to initially testing in an actual environment, approaching the authoress, you said that a lot of the more AX-savvy testers just went in straight away and tried to chase the Thargoid down. I actually recall I had the opportunity to sit in on a couple of the milestone meetings where you're talking about how you adapted the authoress and the way it would respond, especially in terms of its sort of exit path and how it would move and that sort of thing, to try and make it a bit more, how do I put it, evasive, I suppose. Could you maybe talk us through some of the changes that went into that and the thoughts behind not helping it escape, but giving it the capacity to maybe
Absolutely.
duck and weave, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it's a runner, not a fighter. It's not. I don't. It doesn't even have any guns. Frankly, as we said, it's there to deploy things. It's there to carry things. So arming this ship just wouldn't make sense.
Right.
So its option when it detects combat, it deploys a few passive defenses and things like that. I'm going to let players discover those things for themselves because I don't want to spoil the surprise, frankly.
Sure.
And it runs. And as you say, first iteration of that, we were like, well, running away. Most obvious thing would be straight line away from the thing that's scaring you, and
As
then
fast as possible,
jump out.
sprint away.
We realised quite quickly on it'd be like, well, if it just moves away and jumps, then the player never gets an opportunity to try and kill it. They never get an opportunity to learn anything about it. So we realised, okay, it's got to take some time before it jumps out. So then we made this long straight run away, and realised quite quickly from that it's not that fun. It's not that fun if you can chase behind it. We didn't want to make it too fast. The other interceptors are extremely fast. They can run rings around most stock ships. You've pretty much got to go engineering to outpace them. Mm-hmm. So it needed to be able to move at a sensible speed for it to be chased, but a speed that was fast enough to feel like it could get away. What we realised quite quickly on is the chasing player would then almost certainly get tangled up in its engine trails and then bump into the back of it.
You end up on their 6 and it's just kind of, you're seeing the back of it.
Exactly. And even if you don't bump into it, a close-up view of the back of the Thargoid is not exactly our game looking at its best. So Sarah Avery did a brilliant job of sort of developing this beautiful corkscrew, which I think hit the right level between a proper evasive maneuver. Like it does make it harder to hit it, but it doesn't feel like it's pulling out skills it shouldn't have.
Sure.
It's as you say, it's ducking and weaving a bit, but it's not like it's not doing martial arts to get away from you or anything like that.
Right. So this isn't it's not the Thargoid equivalent of an ace pilot, but it is someone trying to do what they can, right? Spinning, that's a good trick sort of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it sort of hits that nice panic. I've made a snap decision. I'm going to go that way a bit. It also has the nice additional thing that it just looks good. It's this thing lays quite a long, stinky trail behind it. I know things can't really stink in space, but it's very green and very cloudy.
Things the Thargoids leave behind might, yeah.
It looks very green and cloudy and smelly. So, but when it's going in a sort of beautiful corkscrew behind it, it looks really nice as well. We managed to get a few other tricks working. Like that same green stinky trail, if you fly through it too close to the Thargoid, you're going to start picking up caustic from that as well, which is just like a really good way to deter the player away from that.
Right.
Not quite as pleasant rear of the ship. Anyway, but it also then puts you in a really good position as you're following the corkscrew to see the general situation around you. So as the Orthrus is running, it's going to be calling in waves and waves of Thargoid reinforcements. So as these ships are appearing, you'll be seeing them along the flight path, more and more of them piling up, and there's a really nice decision point where you have to choose to either continue your chase or engage with this sort of ever-growing...
Right, do I commit, do I bug out? Yeah, and all of this, as you're getting this new view, because we've deterred the players, well I say we, the design team deterred the players from essentially tailgating the Orthrus by giving it this different flight path. That's really cool.
Yeah, I hope so. I think no one is going to feel like they're dogfighting the Orthrus. That's not the role of this ship. It's, as we've said, it's not really a combatant. So I hope that people, when they play this, feel like they're getting something that feels very authentic and very believable as a sort of part of the Thargoid war machine, as a part of the sort of Thargoid society. But also I hope it gives players who are new to the Thargoids and new to the sort of general alienness of them an opportunity to sort of see them and experience what they're like and get a bit of a feel for what a Thargoid ship is like to be near, without necessarily having to engage in a dogfight that an early player is likely to lose.
Sure, no, that's a really good point, especially as obviously tensions have risen to breaking point essentially between the Thargoids and humanity now. Having that opportunity, like you say, for new players is really nice, and hopefully there are going to be things to learn and enjoy, like you say, from taking the observational choice.
Absolutely.
And actually by offering those two options with their own consequences, we've actually given that decision over to the players, which is fantastic.
As I said earlier, we have generally got an idea of what the purpose of most of our Thargoid things are, even if we only keep it internally as something that we need to know the justification for this, but it doesn't necessarily need to become part of
That's for you lot to speculate and try and work out.
This is kind of it, and actually, a lot of the time when the community speculates, they come up with, they either exactly hit what we wanted them to sort of realise, they either find exactly that, or often better than what we'd sort of originally thought. It'd be like, that's a much more sophisticated...
cooler theory.
Right, in which case, it's a win-win situation for us, because we can just pick that up and be like, yeah, that was it. That's what it was. Congratulations. It's, and the flip side of that coin, and it has happened a couple of times, is where we've put something out and the community have gone, oh, maybe it's a new type of hat. We've gone, oh, no. But, that's kind of then quite a nice learning experience for us about the way we've sort of communicated these things, and we can sort of then dig into why something has come across in a way that we didn't intend it to.
Yeah, definitely. That must be really fun as well, seeing players come up with things, and it's like a game of cat and mouse between you trying to sort of be the almost dungeon master style. Here's how everything works, but you lot have got to figure it out. And you're close, or you haven't quite got this right, or you nailed this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it must be really gratifying.
I think Hannah has a really good time with doing the CGs and things each week, because it's a really good way to lead the players to content, and to do that sort of storytelling, and deliver quite a lot of those threads that we want you guys to pull and weave into the story of the galaxy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't got you for too long, so I'm actually going to move on from the authoress. So let's talk. No, please don't apologise. All of that is fantastic. Thank you. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the maelstroms, which are no doubt one of the focal points of Update 14. The huge entities that have finally arrived. Obviously, they've been in the post for a while now. They've been
doing stuff. I've really enjoyed watching the Stargoids travel the galaxy. I mean, as we were just saying, right? When you get to put something really mysterious into the galaxy, and then just watch the speculation. That's been really good. And I know the server team, and particularly Darren, has been working really hard on getting those Stargoids flying the right path, the right speed. Getting them to wave as they go past commanders, things like that.
Sure.
You might not have noticed that, but that definitely happens.
No, the timing has had to be pretty meticulous, especially for a couple of events in the narrative and that sort of thing. And
it has, yeah. And I think there's just been a lot of work behind the scenes to just make it as smooth as possible. And I think they've done tremendously. But the day has come. They've stopped. One of them has stopped.
Yeah, they've parked now. Yeah. So, what can you say about the experienced players might have, and what you intended as well for this experience when someone bravely and boldly chooses to approach one of the maelstroms?
So I think players, around about the time of the aftermath and the events of HIP 22460, I think people started to realise there might be some sort of war coming. But a big part of that we wanted to promote, which we haven't really done before, was the idea of Thargoids holding territory, of taking over a system. They've previously visited.
Right.
And they've burnt things and they've blown stuff up and things like that. But they've always gone away eventually.
They leave.
Yeah. So when a Thargoid, or when a Thargoid force takes over a system, what does that look like? That raised some important design questions. And in some ways, we needed to seed the answer as part of this update. So. A bit like with the authoress, I don't want to get carried away talking too much about what's going on here, but you will notice that the maelstroms are the centre of the sort of Thargoid activity. The war is spreading out from them as the centre points. You'll also notice when you're in those systems that there's frankly insane levels of Thargoid activity. You will be interdicted.
Yep.
And I think it really goes to sort of it's doing an important job, which is it's showing what happens when the Thargoids take over. Okay, you've suddenly got this entirely alien object that we know has travelled from across the galaxy. It's filled the area with Thargoids. It's a centre point. It's their
sort of a foothold.
A foothold, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be their sort of the start of their base, I think. And if you visit there, you'll probably find, first of all, caustic damage. That's pretty likely to hit you.
Sure.
You might start to find interceptors that are patrolling around there. Again, I don't want to go too much into it because I feel like our players who enjoy exploration and investigation are going to want to go into these places, and they're going to want to explore all the corners that they can get to and sort of do all the analysis on everything that they can find that's in there. But I think crucially from a design point of view, we needed to make it a place that was interesting, mysterious, and just full of this sort of potential for discovery.
Sure, I think you've nailed all of those things, and what you've done really well is establishing a big presence, sort of an impactful.
It's big, right? It's hostile.
Element,
it's
right?
a bit scary, right?
yeah, so they're definitely, you feel them, right? Now that they're there, they've planted themselves basically in our house, right? Essentially, as the bubble. This is as invasive as it gets, really. So no, it's definitely sending a message. And like I say, we won't put too fine a point on the experience of when you're actually in that. We'd encourage people to check that out for themselves, although cautiously, if maybe you're a lesser experienced pilot or not so much into AX combat, you might want to wing up for that sort of thing first, or have some experienced players with you.
Absolutely. I think the new AX tech that has been coming out, and is a bit of it's coming out with this update, I think. I think part of that as well is to give our starting players, the opportunity to go, when they hit the sort of medium and large ships, to be able to go to a station and buy some AX equipment that is going to be effective as well. So, yeah, absolutely. Someone will take a Sidewinder into there, right?
No doubt.
And I love you for doing that. But if you want to check this stuff out, I really advise you to go and get yourself equipped for AX. Follow the experienced players' advice and get yourself kitted up for fighting Thargoids, because in all of the different places, there are sort of layers to the Thargoid war, and even in the more gentle places, you're going to need the right equipment to take them on.
Yeah, absolutely. So while we won't put too fine a point on the specifics of what players might find in the maelstroms themselves, suffice to say there is stuff in there to find and do, and yeah, we would encourage the bolder and braver among us to attempt it.
Absolutely. I think there's lots to be learned. Hopefully, as I said, that mysterious quality will get you.
Yeah. Hopefully we can tempt enough people into the eye of the storm.
Absolutely.
The belly of the beast. All right. So besides the maelstrom, the Orthrus, obviously there's a lot more to the update and the war itself as well. And we're going to talk a little bit later on the live show with another guest about how the war works and the mechanics of it and the states, etc. But there's even more than that going on. So we were talking earlier about scenarios that players might encounter. Can you tell us a little bit about how people might interact with Update 14 beyond going to things like the Maelstrom or seeing an Orthrus? Or things that might happen a bit more, I suppose, spontaneously is the right way to look at it. So
I think, when we began talking about this update, we talked about how it's going to change the galaxy, right? And I hope people agree that it really has. But I think it was very important to us then to make it so that when you arrive in somewhere that's been affected by the war, it's not just, we've put some different paint up in the space station or whatever. The adverts are different as you fly through the mail slot. It was quite important that we sort of hit that atmosphere. We're not going to be changing the sort of fundamental mechanics of how you supercruise around or something to reflect anything new in this one, but making sure when you get to a war-torn system, you start to see different USSs. You start to get interdicted by not just AX patrols and things like that looking for hostiles, but start to see scary Thargoid interdictions and things like that. Even hyperspacing around, right? We've had the hyperspace hyperdictions.
There you go.
There we go. For a while now, but even the nature of those has changed to sort of represent the increase in hostility, right? You're straight into having to run for your life.
Yeah.
If you're me, anyway. As soon as you enter those. So, from that perspective, when the player opens their FSS scanner in a Thargoid war system, we really wanted the landscape that you see there to be indicative of like a war-torn system, of people in panic, of refugees fleeing the system, of AX forces fighting back against the enemy whenever they possibly can. So part of that involved new content, making new scenarios, making new events that can happen whilst you're flying around a system. And then another part of it was we first iteration of implementing a lot of these new scenarios, we filled up a few systems with them, and then looked at it and went, non-human signal source. Non-human signal source, non-human signal source. This isn't really very helpful. So Ben came through with a couple of really great suggestions for new signal source categories and things like that. So now when you come in, you're going to start seeing things like AX forces, AX weapons fire detected. So you start to get an idea for when you're looking at a firefight through your FSS scope, or when you're looking at a refugee convoy heading out of the system or something like that. And it starts to tell, before any gameplay has really played out, or any specific scenario has played out, it starts to tell the story of a system that is, going through an evacuation or starting to repel the initial advances of the Thargoids and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, later on you might miss those refugees when you realise, no, everybody's dead. Oh, well.
Oh, well, hopefully not. I have utter faith in our players to turn all of this around.
If anyone can do it,
swap them back.
It's those guys.
But yes, no, definitely. So, like I say, all of this goes to essentially world building and selling the story and making players feel everything going on around them, and very much that, like you say, the galaxy has changed. We are now in a total state of war, essentially.
Yeah, and I think, again, without our players fighting back against it, it's designed to systemically spread and spread and spread. So, Darren, sorry, it's Darren probably. Darren later on will probably talk about how, unless the players respond to it, they will just wipe out the bubble. So it's up to you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
It's up to you guys to respond.
I've actually seen a lot of comments leading up to U14, especially talking about the Stargoids as they were coming in, saying, well, that's it, I'm going to Colonia then. And it's like, well...
Eventually, they'll get Colonia too. So.
Yeah, so you could, but even then, you're probably not safe, and we'd much rather have you helping out, frankly, but that'll be all up to you. So before we wrap up, I did want to talk to you a little bit about a couple of the new mission types, and we'll expand on these, like you say, with Darren later on, and talk about how they interact with the new system states and the war mechanics itself. But you mentioned having a hand, especially in escape pods and passenger evacuations, which I suppose you've just touched on, but I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit more about what you did for them, or how they might fit into the whole storytelling of U14.
Again, I think, when you land in a station that's been affected, we need to make sure we're selling this idea that you're in the war. You're in a place that has been irreparably changed, and so the story, I think, of refugees wanting to escape. I think that's something that's quite easy to relate to, right? It's. I wonder what happens to the residents of the station who can't afford the hefty credit bill. It's
a valid question. But I suppose what it does quite nicely is obviously there are missions which are a bit more combat oriented, and a lot of the theme is going to be fighting Thargoids, like no doubt. But I think what's nice about things like escape pod evacuations, passenger evacuations, is it offers alternative gameplay for those who don't necessarily want to do combat right now.
Yeah.
And was that a consideration you had sort of when you were looking at U14 more broadly and saying, hey, obviously there's going to be a lot of combat in this, but that said, we want to appeal to explorers as well, and people who want to do trade and that sort of thing?
So all of these things, I mean, even going back to scenarios, when you arrive at a convoy, depending on what gameplay plays out, what happens and what actions you take will have an impact on the outcome of the war in that system. The same thing happens with missions. If you successfully evacuate those humans, then they don't fall into Thargoid hands, and humanity's cause is ever so slightly improved. So all of these actions, are opportunities for players to tip the scales and to win the fight back. So, as a result of that, yes, as you say, when you take on a mission to evacuate however many passengers, or to get wounded personnel in their escape pods to safety, you are chipping away at the Thargoid's hold on that system. And ultimately, that is the way that the war will be won for humanity. I think one really nice design spin on these things is most of those rescue missions end up with you delivering those passengers or those refugees or those injured people to a rescue ship. And I think those rescue ships that have been deployed by the major factions and by a few important independent systems as well represent a sort of a hub for humanity. They represent a safe zone, a sanctuary, and also, you know, a sort of primary point of defence. You know, if the war starts to spread to those rescue ships, they need to be defended, because otherwise you will lose the ability to rescue people from those affected systems. So,
Sure. So in the same way that as an offensive force, the Thargoids have their hubs, I suppose you'd argue the Maelstroms are their sort of central points. We've got these rescue ships, and they're sort of humanity's symbol of resistance, effectively.
Absolutely, yeah. And so when you take one of these missions, you know, by completing it, you will be drawn out to these rescue ships. It'll give you a chance to sort of see how that's going, and then as you make your way, if you choose to go back into the sort of conflict zone, I think it sort of presents this really nice journey back from a place of relative safety into the war zone.
Back into the fray, yeah.
Exactly. I hope it's a really tangible change of feeling as you proceed more and more into danger.
Yes, very, very much, okay, I've achieved what I can do, or I'm at my limit of maybe I've fought as many Thargoids as I can, my hull's very low. Back to restocking, repairing, rearming, and it's like, okay, deep breath, back in I go, sort of stuff.
Absolutely, and some of those missions as well. You know, that we obviously we've talked about the rescuing humans, but some of the missions involve bringing sort of vital supplies to frontline stations and things like that. So there's hopefully a really nice loop where you can sort of proceed out of those war-affected systems to safer space, find the equipment that you need to bring back and complete those missions. So you'll be sort of humans out, guns in. And yeah, I think that's going to be a really satisfying loop for players, and I think it's going to help them build up that context of where this war that could become, you know, the size of the entire bubble, what the sort of shape of that is as you travel through. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's going to be so great to see, and I'm very excited to see how it goes. Best of luck to everyone out there.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you'll contribute, but I think that's a really nice message as well, to say that whichever gameplay loop you prefer, you have a way of contributing to the human war effort as well, and helping fight back if that's something you want to do.
Absolutely, yeah. If all you want to do is scan, discover, and, you know, try and learn as much as you can about the Thargoids, there is content there for you, and I hope you do it, because again, it's worthwhile. It will unlock things for humanity in the future that might tip the scales of war. If you want to do combat, oh boy, we've got you, absolutely.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you know, that combat role as well might be defending your allies and your teammates as they do these important supply runs to affected systems, as they take their slightly more fragile exploration ships to learn things about the new types of Thargoids and to try and discover what's going on at the Maelstroms and things like that. So, you know, even you combatants, I'm afraid, haven't got it so simple.
Sure. Choices to make on all fronts.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So I think we're about ready to wrap things up. Thank you so much for your time. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on, or anything you would like to say to our players as they dive into all of this content?
Good luck. Good luck. Have fun. The embarrassing resupply crate in the tutorial.
Yes,
I fixed that bug.
I'm glad you sent me a video actually right before, around lunchtime, before our interview. I'm very glad to see that that's all sorted.
Yeah, so last time I was on, we were playing through the tutorial, and I was bragging about this very sophisticated little coroutine I had in the tutorial script that found the nearest ammo crate if you were running out of ammo. And we followed the objective marker, and we went to where the ammo crate should be, and it wasn't there, which was very embarrassing. But you know, I did say to Bruce at the time, I'll pop upstairs and fix that straight away.
Yes, you did.
And unfortunately, I didn't fix it straight away, but I did fix it in update 14. So hopefully,
there you go.
Hopefully, you can all.
If anyone wants to go through the training menu now to go check that out and replay the tutorial, they will find the ammo box.
If you run out of ammo,
placed.
I've got you covered. You're
Fantastic.
all set.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Tom, and thanks again for your time. Always a pleasure to have you on. And we might be seeing you again before the year is out. So
yeah,
looking forward to that. In the meantime, it's been a pleasure as always, and we're going to see you back at the studio. 07, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
All right, well, special thanks again to Tom for joining me for that conversation. I had a really great time speaking to him and understanding a little bit more about the design of Update 14. And we're going to learn even more about that from our second special guest, Darren, in a moment.
Hi, Darren.
Hiya.
Hello, Darren. But before that, I just wanted to quickly mention something and also give a special thank you again to Tom. Did I say thank you already?
You did say thank you.
Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate it. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. Hot off the press, I'm hearing now that actually, for anyone who was concerned with some of the influence issues affecting the BGS as of update 14, we've got some news for you on that. So if you're following us on Twitch, !BGS will take you to an article with more information. At a top level, as of the next tick, we're going to implement a fix that we think is going to resolve the issues or the thing that's causing this issue with influence. But we're also going to take some actions to resolve things that were changed as a result of this issue going in the first place. So to find out all of the details about that, you can go to the news section on the forums and find that post. And I think our mods are also posting that in the chat for you, so thank you very much. I also wanted to mention someone else. So actually in the chat earlier, when we've been trying to make a tradition of this.
Oh, I know what this is going to be, yeah.
So someone was saying, hey, where is producer Adam on the screen? You missed him out, but actually that's not the case. He is somewhere.
He's somewhere
in
there.
the background. You're just going to have to look very carefully to find a little cameo from our friend producer Adam.
By the way, chat, we're going to make a thing of this now. So every stream we're going to be, every stream we're in space, we will be hiding Adam somewhere for you to locate. No prizes, just kudos, I guess, for finding him.
Just a little game. But yeah.
Has he got a red and white flight suit?
We need to get this sorted out, like a Where's Wally style escapade for our producer Adam. All right, look, we've got Darren here. Shall we start talking to him, interrogating him?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. After you, Bruce.
Sure. Well, I suppose first things first, we've actually had you on for quite a few streams now, Darren, so welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you on again. For anyone who hasn't met you before among our audience, would you just give a quick introduction as to who you are, what your role is at Frontier?
Yeah, sure. My name's Darren. I'm a senior designer on Elite. I focus mainly on systems, which means I've had quite a bit of to do with our most recent update. Yeah, no, it's been a lot of system work. So yeah, I have been busy.
So obviously, the Maelstroms have land is the right word. I think I'm going to use the word land. Splash land into the bubble.
Splash land,
or thereabouts. Can you talk us through sort of the effect they are having on their immediate effect, I guess, on the systems that they are arriving in or around?
Yeah, as I put on Twitter, the biowaste has hit the articulation motors. That's probably the best way of putting it. They have caused a bit of ruckus, so they have turned up in systems with certain planets. They have immediately taken control over systems around them, and they are then attacking systems within a slightly further reach out of that. And if humanity doesn't start to push them back or hold them where they are, they will then continue to expand.
So this is unprecedented behaviour from the. We mentioned this earlier. This is not standard Thargoid behaviour. This is definitely a step change for them. It's almost as if we tried to arbitrarily wipe them out and it didn't work.
Look, it was one little genocide.
When we tried it twice,
which
actually,
didn't.
We have tried it twice.
I mean, but they were. They weren't even successful genocides. It might be a bit of an overreaction, but no, they're royally ticked off. Yeah. They're not too pleased.
So obviously they've hit. You've mentioned they've sort of splashed into the bubble. 3 are currently in position at this moment in time.
Magic number.
Which means 5 more are still on their way. I think players have already started to notice that the effect is it's not just it's obviously visually visible, but again you go to like just a standard thing that players are always in, which is like the galactic map. You go in and have a look, and you can see immediately with update 14 the changes are wrought in that map.
Yeah, it's like a hole in space. Yeah. You've got this bubble of Thargoids almost, where it's like, well, this is Thargoid space now. Yeah. And then there's like this shell of battle and this front line, which is then potentially going to start moving and pushing outwards. Yeah. And that's scary, because the question there is, how much of the human space are they going to start eating into? How much, I want to say land, it's not land, space. How much space is going to become Thargoid space? Yeah. And that's kind of down to the players.
Yeah. And it's quite a wide front line where players are going to feel stretched, I think.
Yeah.
Thargoids, and this is not a probing assault. This is an all-out attack by looking at things. This is not a, we're just going to have a little look-see. I think they've done that. I think now they're like, okay, we had a look at you, and now we're going to engage in, we're going to do what you wanted. You wanted a war, you have one now. Let's see how you get on. So I think players are going to have to decide where and when they can defend, and part of that is looking through the Galactic map, looking at the push and pull of the Thargoid War. Can you talk us through, because this is a really important part of, I guess, of Update 14, is letting players see, I guess, the state the galaxy's in, where it's worse, where they can help, and the effect they're having. So can you talk us through, so maybe start with the system states, what are they and how does this work, sort of thing?
Yeah, so we have a handful of system states. They all progress based on sort of, not inactivity, but failure to push the Thargoids back. So first, Thargoids will enter a system, and that will be the alert state, which is basically the Thargoids prepping for invasion. And if the humans don't push the Thargoids back, then they start attacking ports, attacking settlements, planet ports, and that's when the players have to respond, because that is the invasion, and that's the Thargoids effectively kicking humans out. And
they'll creep through that system, right?
They will creep through that system. Each week they will be attacking more starports. Ports which were under attack the week before will now be burning, and ports that were burning before will then be abandoned. So you've almost got this sort of three-stage cascade for each port which can be attacked. So it will always go from being in a bit of an alert state where there are missions and evacuation opportunities before the Thargoids attack at every port, except the ones which are attacked on day one. And then obviously the week after, if they are attacked, they've got their attack phase, and then burning, then abandoned. At the moment every port in the system has become abandoned, well, it's been lost. Humanity's abandoned the system at that point, and then it becomes the Thargoid controlled state, which is the sort of ultimate state for Thargoids. It's theirs at that point. We then have two other states which kind of sit a bit on their own. So we've got the post-Thargoid recovery state. This is when players have managed to push Thargoids out of the system. So we won't go from the alert state into this state, because that's preemptive. The players have prevented the Thargoids from invading. But if the players fight back in the invasion or the controlled state, it will go into post-Thargoid recovery, and that's an opportunity for players to then rebuild the starports in that system, get them functioning again and working like a normal system. And then once that's done, it will be business as usual, but that doesn't mean that it isn't then up for grabs again. I was
about to say, it doesn't mean that the Thargoids will leave that alone. They might just look back and be like, well...
Yeah, I mean, because the moment it becomes Thargoid territory, the moment humans take it back, the way Thargoids then see it is, well, now we want to take it back, because that was ours. And you've got a bit of to and fro there.
And I guess the other part about this that players need to be aware of, and I'm sure they're seeing this already, it's in the past we've had incursions. There are several systems, and players can be quite laser focused on where they're going to be deploying their resources. And our AX players are very good at deploying fleet carriers and squadrons go out and fight. But as I said earlier on, this is a front line of unprecedented size, and there are many, there's hundreds of systems that are affected now, and this is only day 3 of this conflict, and if left unchecked, this gets worse and worse and worse. And it's not just the systems that the Thargoids are attacking. There are systems already lost that players can try and recover back, but you could be recovering this system over here whilst the Thargoids are pushing for a system over there. So
it's definitely going to require some coordination from humanity to sort of look at where they can make losses and where they can make gains, and sort of say, okay, are we willing to lose this system so that we can fight in that system? Are we going to try and coordinate efforts across everything and see how we can push forward as almost like a united front moving everything? And I think that's part of the excitement, right? Is figuring out where those balances are. Is there going to be an equilibrium point where you've almost got like a stalemate, where you sort of move one week, you move back a week, or are we going to have a bit of a runaway growth of Thargoid space? We don't know at the moment.
I'm super excited to find, because I know it will happen. There will be systems that players will hold against all the odds. There will be systems that fall when we least expect it, and there's going to be stories that come out of this that I am super excited to see our players come up with.
Yeah, I mean, and with more recent events that we've had alongside like the Azimuth saga and all of the sort of player involvement in that, and the way that Galnet has responded to the way players have gotten involved, that's all applicable to this. We want to be looking at what's happening and get involved, and Galnet being sort of injecting story, but also commenting on the player-driven story, the community-driven story of what's happening in Elite, and it very much becomes the players' galaxy, and right now they're fighting for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space for that, and actually one thing that is starting to come across, I think, and maybe the Kingfisher was the first very clear sign of this, which is that Thargoids do not discriminate. So what's going to be really entertaining and interesting to watch is, let's say you've got two what would normally be opposing player factions that share a border that perhaps they tend to try and maintain or even fight over. There might be a situation now where if the Thargoids are potentially expanding into that region, it might even be in the best interests of both of those factions to actually say, hey, let's hold this together rather than compete.
I mean, the enemy of my enemy, right?
Right.
There is definitely a bigger fish to fry at this point, and maybe humanity needs to put aside their differences, or maybe you just want to watch your neighbours burn out of spite. I don't know.
I'm sure there'll be players that look to exploit what's going on.
I mean, that's definitely a thing. Maybe you can look at Thargoids attacking your enemies in some systems as a potential opportunity for you as an individual, you as a group. Not too sure whether that will be common or not. I don't want to comment on the morality of our commanders, but you never know.
I think they're a sound bunch. I'm not mentioning that Salvation just offered really shiny trinkets, and they were like, okay, I know this is wrong, but big weapons. I'll just do it once, and then I'll just get the gun. And I won't do it again.
Everyone's got their price, though.
Everybody's got their price. Okay, so we talked about some of the system states, and I'm sure there might be some questions about this in chat, which we'll try and get through if at all possible.
Well, I did have a final question.
Oh,
about
yes.
system
Sorry, Bruce.
states. Just from a design perspective, what was it like trying to create a system where you have to both tell a story, so you want to make sure that it aptly and sort of it gets across the idea that we're fighting a war, but also mechanically players have to be able to engage with it and manipulate it in a way that makes sense from a gameplay standpoint?
Well, I think there's two things which we did to sort of bring out the idea that this is quite organic. The first one was making the Thargoids move systemically. So historically with the incursion states, they were a very manual process. It was always like the designers were playing the Thargoids, and it was like a bit of a chess game between players and designers, where we'd be like, okay, we're going to attack this system, and then players would respond, and we say, okay, well now we're attacking this system. We've not done that this time. We've basically set these rogue signal sources on their course. They land, and then we've created almost a rule set which almost gives the Thargoid a bit of a AI to an extent, where they have...
This is very Terminator style.
Same sentence. The Thargoids are Skynet.
Yeah.
So the Thargoids have they've been built to have a set of priorities, how they want to move, where they would rather move, how they can respond to losing systems, and we've sort of built that rule set, and we've just said go, and that's effectively what's happening. So we know what will happen if players effectively did nothing, because the rule set will just determine what the Thargoids do, and that becomes deterministic. But what we can't account for is all of the different choices and decisions players make, where they put their focus on, and that's when the system, this almost Thargoid AI, is then going to have to start working, and we see what different sort of shaped territories are going to start forming. That's super exciting. So that rule set is kind of where we've gone about making it feel organic but also responsive to players, because there's a rule set which is being followed, but we don't always know what the other move's going to be. So that's going to happen. And the other one is all of the gameplay activities which players can do in order to fight back are varied, and they aren't necessarily driven by something like credits. It's not like, oh no, this is worth X amount of influence points, in the same way that it would be with the regular BGS stuff. There are certain actions have slightly different values in different states depending on what's important and where, and certain values will have certain actions or certain missions will be worth more or less depending on the location and what it needs. So getting people out of a station where the system's in alert, where they're like, oh, Thargoids are here, people evacuating there, it's preemptive, those people are scared, they want to leave, those people are under less threat than when the station's under attack. But also, when the station's under attack, you want to be killing the Thargoids as well. So the gameplay is always being split. There's always decisions for what players want to do, what might be more or less important. And any time where you think, oh, actually, maybe we're going to be doing escape runs from a station which isn't under attack, it's a little bit safer. At the same time, when you're doing that, you're also not potentially popping a few scouts on the way whilst you're also doing rescues, where you might be like hitting two birds with one stone, or two bugs with one stone. And I think that's where all of these options come in. Players can make rescue builds, they can make combat builds, they can make hybrids. There's trade builds. There's so many options.
I think when you guys first showed us the evacuating under like stations under attack, that is super cool because obviously if you're not involved or want to get involved in combat, you have to fight through like there's a war going on outside, and you're sort of flying through, landing, getting your evacuations, and getting out again and trying to escape. Very interesting though that the Thargoids war machine has its own objectives. I guess it knows what it wants to do and where it wants to move. So it'd be great to see, and great for us to watch actually how it reacts to, like you said, players' involvement in various systems, what they do, how they react. Because we've said this time and time again, we all create something on the assumption that players are going to do what we think they're going to do. 9 times out of 10 players do the exact opposite what we think they're going to do, and I'm so keen to explore what players would be doing with this.
We can use history as something to learn from as well. Like the more time that players have had to spend with Thargoids in different CGs, different story beats where the narrative is quite big and we've got a lot of engagement. Those are different points where we've been able to sort of look at how many players get involved, how many Thargoids can players kill in a week, that sort of stuff. And when we look at those CGs and we look at the data we get from them, we can sort of take good estimates as to be like, okay, this is like the total might of the current player base or something like that, and we can start balancing and tweaking numbers against it. Whereas if we bring this sort of thing out before, let's say the Thargoids started invading the moment they turned up into the game, none of that telemetry would be there. So this as well as affording us the balancing, all of that narrative and everything, which sort of builds up to this cool narrative crescendo with the Azimuth finale, we also have the ability to look at those numbers, look at what players like doing and don't like doing, and all of those.
Always watching, we ASCII, always watching.
We have to. We've got loads of spreadsheets and numbers and CSV files all over the place.
Yeah.
And so much data.
Cool. Bruce, any questions for you?
No, thank you for that. It's really fascinating, and I love this idea that you've set up the Thargoids now as an almost self-sufficient entity that will now do what they want to do, and players will have to try and stop them. That's it. There's no sort of puppet master as such, like you say, moving pieces or pulling strings. It's just this thing is there, and you got to try and stop it now. And that's it.
What's it that Ultron said when he woke up? Like, there's no strings on me.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it. That's exactly what it is.
Creepy Pinocchio song. Yeah, that was it was not fun. So
it was genuinely horrifying.
It was.
Scene,
it wasn't. It? Yeah, it was. It was a great. It was a great line. Average film, but sorry.
Controversial.
Yeah. So Bruce, are we on to section 2?
Yeah, sure. No, happy to move on. Thank you for that explanation of the system states. I'm sure all of our players are going to find that really fascinating and enjoy taking part in it. There are a number of ways to influence the way the war is going in various regions. And among those are the new mission types, and I touched on a couple of these with Tom, but I was hoping you could talk us through the new missions that players might encounter and use to contribute to the war effort?
Yeah, so we've got some mission types which they're not completely fresh missions. They are using gameplay missions that people have sort of are used to, but they're giving new context and new danger, really, that's added on top of that gameplay.
Sure.
So it's kind of, you take a bit of gameplay and you put it in a new setting, and now it's new gameplay. So we've got passenger missions, which become rescue missions inside the Thargoid War, but the states of those and the scale changes. So we previously had passenger missions from burning stations. We've now got passenger missions from under attack stations,
Right.
which are very different. So like, where previously the worry was, is my ship going to survive the heat from the inside of the station? Now it's, am I going to be able to get away from the station without being attacked?
Sure.
And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes literally the death of Thargoids can become a problem. I was taking a mission when we launched, and I left a station, and an interceptor blew up in front of me, and I went through it. I went through the caustic cloud that it leaves,
Right.
and I was like, oh, okay, now I have caustic, and the ship's built to run cold so that it won't overheat if I go into a burning
This is bad.
station.
This is bad.
So I can't overheat.
So now it's
And I
eating
was like,
through
oh
your
no.
ship,
So yeah, and then I had to make my way to another station and
Yeah.
heal up and all that stuff. I didn't have decontamination lipids on me. So I then had to respond that way. And that's new, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the new gameplay and the new missions is about taking different things and just putting them together in almost like a remix.
Yeah.
And everything feels so different because of that. So we've got new passenger missions, which are different in the different station states.
Right.
So obviously we've got the sort of alert state, Thargoids are in the system, under attack, burning. So the passenger missions are all slightly different with those, and they've got different contexts and different threats because of them. We've also got escape pod missions. So these are like trade missions, but you're hauling escape pods with people in them from one location to another. So those will be more in line with like a standard trade mission. They'll have slightly different effects on the pushback, and that largely comes down to these are people in slightly protected pods and stuff versus live people which need transporting. And we also have emergency supplies, which are sort of delivery missions for the stations where they're like, well, we have Thargoids in the system, they're going to attack, bring us weapons. Then we've also got, this station's under attack, we need medical supplies, people are injured, we also need weapons because we're still fighting. And that all contributes to the war effort as a whole, and different stations are going to require different things because their needs are different. So yeah, all of that is just part of the system.
And obviously there's the kill Thargoids, which I think people are, I think it's pretty Ronsil. It does what it says on the tin, right? It's like Thargoids are attacking, kill the Thargoids that are attacking.
I mean, I have a feeling that players would be killing the Thargoids whether they had a mission or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's
players were killing Thargoids when they were at war or not. Like, they were killing Thargoids just for new weapons to kill more Thargoids.
I remember way back when Thargoids first appeared, and I remember watching players when the weapons didn't work and the Thargoids weren't really paying much attention. I remember players like setting up traps for Thargoids and ramming them into the ground and seeing if they could kill them that way. And I was like, we kind of get what we asked for here. I mean, we tried very hard to kill them.
I think the first Thargoid kill most of us remember seeing was something like 16 commanders all firing on it at once and basically doing more damage than it could heal and killing it before they had weapons to actually kill Thargoids. That's how much some people just want to see these things die.
I mean, it's no wonder they're a little bit miffed.
Maybe they're not overreacting.
We have history.
Maybe it's a completely appropriate reaction.
Yeah, I mean, the Azimuth scenario finale, maybe that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. But I mean, it's been coming. It's been coming. So it's not just new missions as well. We've got new scenarios. I think one of the things players are noticing now is that in the past, hyperdiction is very cool. Would happen if you were traveling hyperspace, but now it's not just being hyper, you can be interdicted by Thargoids, and they are adept at it, and they will aggressively interdict you if you're in their territory, and it's theirs now. Remember?
Oh yeah, they are proper roadside pullover. You're not meant to. You're in the wrong neighbourhood. They rip you out. They start firing. And if you can start boosting away. And we've also, in certain of these new system states, we've actually built in ambient traffic. So in the same way that you would typically see traders and bounty hunters drop in at like nav beacons or outside stations, Thargoids do that now. And they would do it at higher frequency at locations that have been abandoned inside an invasion state. So if you go to an abandoned port, that port's been abandoned, so it's Thargoid now. So if you drop in at that port, even though it's not been lost as a system, that port has been abandoned. So the Thargoids will drop in, and that will happen with an interdiction as well. You can get interdicted, and maybe you've just been interdicted by a couple of scouts, but that doesn't mean that something else isn't going to jump in afterwards. And that's like system-wide.
They like to talk, the Thargoids, so...
They are everywhere. And I mean, when you drop into a conflict zone, they say this system's crawling with Thargoids, and it really is crawling with Thargoids.
This is something that Bruce and I can attest to, because we had an idea for a location in the stream today, and we thought, you know what we'll do? We'll just pop along to like an abandoned settlement. We'll get inside. Well, that was not going to plan. We attempted several attempts to get to land, and the Thargoids were not happy. We only got on the ground once, and then we were obliterated. They just kept coming. They just like, yeah, well, it's ours now. Go away. You're not welcome. So it's a definite step change. Interdictions. I know players maybe aren't used to this as well. I think as well the Thargoids being that aggressive immediately. There's no, we're going to stop and scan you and see what you've got. It's like, you are in our territory, so we are going to kill you.
Yeah, I think that there used to be like a mutual curiosity, and when the Thargoids first turned up, there was like a mutual scanning distance. Like the distance that Thargoids would get to you to scan you was about the same distance for the Xeno scanner, and you'd scan them. And I used to say it was a bit like that when dogs meet each other and they give each other a bit of a sniff. That's kind of what used to happen. And for quite a while, Thargoids tried to do that scanning procedure, and then players used to be like, well, it's scanning me. Now's the time to just
shoot it,
open fire, just buckshot me in the face. And I think Thargoids have started to be like, well, actually,
it's a pretty good tactic.
I'm not going to scan you. I'm just going to start firing the moment I see you.
I'll scan the wreckage. It works. I'll pick up the bits and whatever's left.
What's it? Bang, and then freeze.
Yeah. Any more questions you have on the interdiction stuff, or we covered stuff? Because I'm going to move on to I've seen these. I'm really excited about these, so I want to sort of move into the.
Sure. No other questions other than just to say, like you say, that feeling of being in the wrong neighbourhood when you enter Thargoid territory, and how pervasive their presence really is.
It's the fear, which is back now. It's the fear of being there.
You're in the wrong place all the time.
That's
really what it is.
Yeah, it's a genuine. I think players first said this about their HIP 22460 when they were like, when you're in that system, you have no matter how good you are,
I'm not meant to be
I'm not meant to be here, and this is dangerous. I can be really good, I can have a really high engineered ship, but I am way against the odds over here, and even with the best pilot, I'm going to run out of ammo at some point, and then I'm going to be in trouble.
And the truth is that it becomes, like, the gameplay becomes about the journey as well. It's not, I drop into a system, and there's gameplay over there, and I want to go into that conflict zone and fly there and fight Thargoids when I turn up and then leave. It's like, no, the entire way there is a battle, because you're moving through a war zone. The whole system's a war zone, not just conflict zones. But if you get to a conflict zone, they're really cool.
What a segue!
Yeah, to be honest, I did see that in the corner of my eye, and I'm like, yes, let's just slide that in there now. Conflict zones.
These are. I remember when very, very early doors we were shown these, and we were just like jaw on the floor. These are super cool. So, talk us through how the AX conflict zones are changing. What players might find that are new.
Well, we had the conflict zones. When did they first go in? It was like beyond Chapter 3. We built the sort of scripted conflict zones with Thargoids dropping in, and it had like this wave system. And we've kind of, again, we've sort of remixed that. We've got new variants where cap ships can turn up and fight Thargoids.
Yeah.
We sort of looked at the gameplay and the response to cap ships being inside HIP 22460.
Yep.
I get the number wrong.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, you got it.
Do you know how much I've had to say that? Eventually, it's just become mush in my head.
Yeah.
So we had the cap ships in those scenarios, and they were helping players out, and players were like, "Oh, great! This is a leg up. It feels like I am part of the military here. I'm not just a person that's thrown into a battle." And that's made a massive difference during that. So we've upped that ante. We've made the ex-military a little bit more responsive. They're a little bit more agile and useful inside these scenarios. And all of that coming together, it's a massive spectacle. And that's just cap ships turning up. That is not the fact that we are now flying through and around stations and ports and outposts. And all of that, it's two things, right? One, you're literally seeing what you're fighting for.
Yeah.
This location's under attack. You're fighting for this location, but it's not just it's not a set piece. It's not a set dressing. It's not just like
it's
not a
there,
thing in the
yeah.
background. That is a station. You can request docking. You can go inside. You can grab people. You can rearm your ship, which is massive. Being able to just dock mid-fight, rearm your ship, go back out, repair your ship even. That is so big. It gives a nice sort of leg up to. Players being able to not feel like they're overwhelmed or like there's a time limit on the conflict zone, which there's only so long you can take a beating for, and there's only so long that your ammo will last for. But again, this also goes back to the level of pushback, right? The conflict at the stations, players are getting a bit of a leg up, so we will be taking note of the conflict zones which are on their own, where there aren't any cap ships or there aren't any stations that are giving you suppressive. They're not giving you suppressive fire. You can't rearm there. You can't repair there. Those are much harder. And we've actually introduced a very high intensity conflict zone as well, which is really hard. Like making your way through making your way to it is hard because you've got to make your way through all those interdictions, and then you have to make your way to the end of the scenario. Obviously, on your own or with your wing, with your friends, and then you've got to get to the end of that, and that's a massive thing for players to be able to do, and they're appropriately compensated for it as well, and the system is appropriately defended to an extent.
I think the one that sticks in my mind even to this day, it's the footage that we saw, and it was over a settlement, and there's an AX conflict zone going on, and the settlement's firing, and the ship's flying around, and I'm not sure who was flying. One of the devs was flying. And then this cap ship just comes in, just appears, and it's like, well, it's now coming in not low orbit, but it's there, and it's like, there's this cap ship in over an atmospheric world. There's a settlement on the ground. There's laser fire going everywhere. And I was like, this feels like a movie, but it's, again, like you just said, it's not a set piece. This is generally reacting to what's going on.
You get that Star Destroyer moment when
it comes in, and it's just like the noise, and it's like, oh, and it was the palpable. You could sense the palpable sense of relief in the dead, because like, thank God, because like we're losing. We're losing.
So look, the audio team always do such an awesome job, and the audio for the Thargoids is genuinely very intimidating. It always has been, especially when you're being interdicted now. The moment that interdiction triggers and you hear that honk behind you, you're like, oh no. God. But you've always got that intimidating noise, and quite often that noise has been intimidating when a cap ship drops in. You're like, oh no, there's a cap ship. But in this scenario, the cap ship's generally always on your side, unless you start shooting at the cap ship. Like some
don't advise
absolutely,
that. Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah.
But the cap ship's on your side, so you hear that, and it's like, oh, it's all right, Big Brother's here, and they drop in and they give you some suppressing fire.
How do Thargoids feel about cap ships now? Are they okay with them, or have they learnt anything?
I think Thargoids have paid attention to cap ships, and Thargoids are now a little bit more adept at making them less effective. So Thargoids now won't just be taking the fire from the cap ships. Thargoids will recognise how humans have destroyed cap ships and will turn up and do the same thing.
It's almost like we left the wreckage in HRP 22460 for Thargoids to have a good old look at and be like, oh, this is how they break then.
Yeah, if you leave your toys all around, people are going to start picking them up and taking a look at them, and that's kind of what happened with cap ships. Thargoids have recognised how the heat relays work, they've analysed the tech, and now they will actively target heat relays to route the cap ships and get rid of them because, well, I mean,
it's a lot of firepower they don't want.
There's no reason to leave them just there, right?
No. So again, there's a lots of stuff that's and there's more changes, and again, some of the stuff is very subtle. And we're not going to tell you everything that's going in on this update. There's a lot of things we want. Won't have time. There's a lot of stuff. We generally want new players to experience as you're playing through it and work out for yourselves. We may have alluded to some things in this chat, which I'm hoping have been subtle enough. But do you have a particular favourite conflict zone? Because mine is definitely what I described, which is the over the planet's surface one. Hopefully, the cap ship will come in, because that moment for me is just like chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's either the Coriolis or there's obviously we've got a few different layouts for the planet ports, and there's a really round planet port. I don't think we have names for them. We've just got we ascribe letters to them upstairs. So it's, I think, C upstairs or something. And that one has always been my favourite planet port because there's something about it being round and symmetrical that's just really appealing. It looks like a futuristic
like my face,
city.
Devin.
I will not comment on that. I think Sally tweeted something about that.
Yes, she did. She destroyed me on Twitter last night. It was great. Thank you very much, Sally. That was amazing. Thank you.
But you brought this up. You completely brought that on yourself. But yeah, that's always been my favourite port. So now turning up at that, and it's because it's got these massive towers in the middle, and those towers all being on fire, and you've got the scouts and the lasers flying around, and that is cool. And again, it's exactly what you meant. What you said with the atmosphere in the background. And when a Thargoid explodes and it creates this cloud, which then has the light refracting, and the cloud glows a little bit, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. But I also really, really do like the Coriolises because they're so iconic. They are literally 1.0 day one. They've always been there. We had the burning versions of them, and it was always like that whole, I wish I could have been here to stop this happening. And now you can.
Now you can, yeah.
It's awesome. It's really cool.
Cool. Bruce, over to you. I'll leave it to you. Sorry, I'm where I talk a lot.
No, that's fine. It was really interesting to hear all of that, and I totally agree with you, Darren. I like the Coriolis station so much. When I think Elite Dangerous Space Station, I just immediately think of the Coriolis just because of how iconic it is. And like I say, now to have a hand in, which way they go, essentially, as a result of this war is just a really cool thing to see. There's lots of other cool locations as well, like you say. Essentially, am I right in saying it's every kind of planet port, starport, outpost, etc. now all have these various states that you can find them in according to whether they've been damaged or abandoned. So I've seen some, for example, I think it's the ones you'd normally see as like a mining outpost, as it's got surrounded by the green caustic. No, it's not caustic. It's got the telltale green gas all around it, and it's all wrecked, and that kind of stuff is very thematic and atmospheric.
Yeah, all of the ports. So where you would have had like station services sort of things, those all have those different states. Excuse me, and then those can all be attacked and go through that whole process. So that's effectively all of the valuable locations for humans are where the Thargoids are systematically attacking.
Right.
Because I mean those are our fortresses, they're our bastions, and that's what they're going for.
Sure, absolutely. So they're very strategic and deliberate in what they're doing. And I really liked that point you made earlier about them learning from the capital ships and adjusting their strategy accordingly. But what's really nice, and I don't want to touch on this too much, but and I think we alluded to it in my conversation with Tom earlier as well, that goes two ways. So there's also plenty of things for us to learn about the Thargoids as well in terms of how they operate, and hopefully maybe using that against them at some point to try and level the playing field. Are you hoping that players will take the research route, and you'd encourage anyone who's maybe less combat oriented to get involved and find out some, potentially discover something? Yeah,
I mean, if you're not killing Thargoids or saving people or hauling materials, there's also the science route. There is definitely no shortage of mysteries that have been put into Update 14. We have this big fog of mystery for players to investigate in the Maelstrom. Tyrannus is full of questions, and everyone's dropping in and finding lots of cool new things that they can interact with and poke, and sometimes it pokes back. And
that's quite aggressively as well.
It's quite aggressive. So there's all of that stuff there. There's a mysterious new interceptor for players to find, examine, sort of observe, see what it's doing. And then there's questions of like, what is it doing? Why is it doing that? What effect is that having on the Thargoid War, and is my action or inaction positive or negative? All of that stuff is then a question as well. I mean, it not turning around and shooting at you is interesting on its own.
I believe the only Thargoid that won't do that. It's decided to see you later. Goodbye. And it must go now. But it does call for help.
It does call for help, yes.
It's not keen on being attacked. Well, no one would be really keen on being attacked.
No, not particularly. It's quite a very specific thing to be into, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you're faced by these things which have tried to genocide your entire species, you'd probably scream help, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you probably have no illusions that they're not stopping to offer you some food. You're like, the good chance here, whatever this is going to try and kill me. And, in fairness, we do have the weapons to kill them, so it's not like it's sitting there thinking I'm indestructible. It's like, I can definitely die here. I need to go.
I saw one of them killed this afternoon.
Oh, really?
Saw someone find one and kill it this afternoon. And we immediately went, As soon as they saw it, they went and killed it. And I was like, no, it was literally, there was no scanning, there was no research limpet, no anything. It was just, there it is.
Death.
With it. And we're impressed but not surprised.
It always reminds me of like, there's always that point where there's the calm, level-headed scientist, normally in a bunker somewhere, way, way, way away from the front line, like, guys, look, I know you're at war, but if you could just not kill everything with big bombs, that'd be great. If we could just bit of research every now and again, just a crumb of research for us, and like, no, just kill everything, kill everything.
Well, that's the thing. Like, sometimes you have scientists which do their science by like observing and taking photos and sort of watching what happens, and sometimes you need to add a bit of a catalyst, and for some commanders that catalyst is a big old stick to poke them with.
My favourite what I've watched so far is people in the Maelstrom when they attempt to get further into the Maelstrom, and they are repelled. I won't say too much more on that, but their immediate response is just to turn around and go straight back at it again. It's just like, I'm just going to keep hitting this until and then they blow up and they're like, I'm dead. Well, I'm going to go buy another ship and try it again. So I'll try with a ship with heavier hull reinforcements. We'll go again.
It's just like, why won't you love me? Please.
Yeah, but I appreciate it.
Let me in.
Look, knock it or not, but it's science regardless, right? They're still proving that it's just not, you're not getting in that way. So it's all data is valuable data, but maybe less shooty, maybe more looky in some places.
Quite literally, you get data when you're flung out. So all data is valuable.
It's valuable. All right. I'm not sure if that's the end. I could talk, Darren, in fairness, we could ask you loads of questions. And actually, there's loads of stuff we haven't asked you about. And we know you're busy at work on other stuff, which we're not going to talk about. There's more stuff to come. As I said, we are day 3 into... In fact, it feels weird saying it, like this is day 3 of the Thargoid War. So this is only day 3. Only 3 of the Maelstroms have actually landed. 5 more remain, and they are coming. So do what you must. Take appropriate action, I think, because one of the things we advised, be it run away. People have asked if anywhere's safe. Who knows where the Thargoids are going to go? They have a mission, they have a plan. Clearly, thanks, Darren. So yeah, it's been great. Darren, are you going to hang around? We can go through some stellar screenshots with you.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
I love stellar screenshots.
Yeah, awesome.
Are they all fire?
I don't. It depends if Paul picked them or not. If Paul's picked them, expect nothing but fire and death.
So. Sorry to disappoint. I had the pleasure of choosing the stellar screenshots this time.
Oh, you didn't pick any fire?
There's some destruction in there, but I have slightly lighter tastes than Paul does, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm moth to flame the last couple of days. I'm literally just looking at everything that's glowy and green.
I expect next week we'll have a certain flavour of stellar screenshot appearing.
I did say was it my last stream or the stream before that? I did say that there's a lack of green in the galaxy. And
well,
I
that's definitely changed.
It was maybe a bit of foreshadowing, but genuinely, I do love how much green is now.
It's not, if anything, it's colourful.
It's colourful. It's all over the stations. It's all over the maps.
It's everywhere. It's all over your ship. You're not careful. Right. Okay. Before we move on, can I just ask chat to give the heartiest 07s to Darren and Tom, and in fact to all the development team that are working on Elite at the moment, because it's been a wild ride this last week for you guys. So thank you We know you've all put a shift in, and you're still putting shifts in. So thank you for sparing us the time. I know the community loved you guys coming on and talking about it. Yeah, it means a lot. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, big hello to 07s. It's much appreciated. A lot of love for all of you on the development team for all the hard work you put in. So it's honestly,
it's a labour of love.
It is, but
we wouldn't if we didn't care.
It means a lot to a lot of us, ourselves included. So thank you. Right. Bruce, I'll leave over to you to do the next element. What we're doing.
Sure. So let's just give a quick recap for anyone who has joined us partway through the stream. And if you have, we would really encourage you to watch the VOD back afterwards when it finishes, because we had a really interesting discussion earlier on with Tom Kuehl, who's also on the design team, along with Darren, and had a large hand in Update 14, just talking about some of the elements of the update. And before that, we mentioned a competition which is now live to win a one-of-a-kind, unique
This is
gaming chair.
sexy.
Actually, if
there he is. Look at him. He's silent in the corner, but he's always listening.
He's
Is
so
our
on
producer,
it.
and he's
so
like,
on it.
can't trick him.
Wait, are you sure there's only one?
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
so
mate.
sorry,
Yeah,
mate. There's
yeah.
literally just the one.
It's in
There's
this
not.
building, actually. I know where it is. I moved it, so I know where it is. I've hidden it.
Did you warm it up?
I did. I built it and warmed up in my house.
The winner's going to find this and be like, oh, wait, someone's been spinning on this already.
Yeah, well, there'd be a rather sizable butt dent in it if I'd been using it. But yes,
No,
there we go.
We promise that there is a one-of-a-kind, pristine, untouched gaming chair up for grabs. Exclamation mark, Noble Chairs will take you to the competition if you're watching us on Twitch. We also mentioned that we've got brand new Twitch drops in the form of the Snowfall Holly variants, which you can earn just by watching this stream. There's also a whole set of these in various colours, which you can earn throughout this month. Would you like these, Darren?
Yeah, it's because that's a crate.
It is the crate chip.
just set it off. It's great.
So
Can we have one stream where we just don't talk about the crate and then how the Chieftain's not very good, when we all know the Chieftain is the best ship?
We could talk about the crate Phantom.
Any crates. Any crates.
Are we going to have to make a set that is just chieftains only?
Yes, we are going to have to make it that's Chieftains only.
We should get a paint job that paints the Chieftain like a crate.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be great.
It'd be awesome.
Oh, wouldn't it?
Gotta make
Oh, the lols we would have. Let's just move on. What else are you recapping? Come on, Bruce.
Yeah, so in the meantime, like I say, throughout all of this month, you're going to be able to earn different variants of that paint job. You can check out our content creators throughout this month to get their Twitch drops as well. So they've got the purple variants of the Snowfall set called Party Purple. 3 of these are going to be available from every member of our Elite Partner Program, and 1 of them is going to be available for all content creators. So it doesn't matter who you watch, throughout this month you'll have a chance to earn some of these.
Yeah, and there's a lot to watch. There's a lot going on in the galaxy, so there'll be plenty of content. No matter who you're watching, you're going to earn a drop or 2, which is really cool.
Absolutely. So yeah, that should bring everyone up to speed. We are, of course, your hosts from the community team, Bruce and Arthur, and we are joined by the wonderful Darren from the design team, who was just telling us a little bit more about system states, the mechanics of Update 14 and the Thargoid War, as well as a few other bits. So like I say, do watch that back if you have only just joined us. So we're going to move on to our... Well, I was going to say our favourite segment of the show, but actually my favourite was talking to Darren, I think.
Moving on to my favourite segment of the show.
Darren hates talking to us.
I love talking to you guys, but it's nice to look at some pretty pictures.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, we do love our stellar screenshots. So for anyone who hasn't seen this before or you're new to the show, we collect screenshots from throughout the week, every week, usually on a Wednesday, and we post them to Twitter and Facebook and I believe Instagram as well. So you can check our threads out on the Elite Dangerous social channels to find those threads and post your screenshots there. If you do get selected, you can also submit via the forums. If you do get selected as a stellar screenshot and you're featured either on the stream or on our social channels, then you will win one of 3 exclusive paint jobs that you cannot earn anywhere else.
Nice.
So let's
get
take a
started.
look at some pictures.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's have a look. So who we got first. This is cool. Oh, it's Alec Turner. This is really, really cool. So this is the
Rogue signal source.
The rogue signal source. But I love how he's using the emote to, like, he's plucking it from the galaxy sky.
Oh, he's petting it.
Petting it.
Who's a cute
So
little signal source?
That's it's Alex's fault then, actually, that they're really, really angry. Stop messing around with it.
With a
They're just ticklish.
Yeah,
No one,
Don't.
you know when you tickle someone that doesn't like being tickled,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
immediately go from laughing to violent very quickly.
Yeah, there we go.
That's all it is.
Alec caused the galactic war by tickling the rogue signal source. There you go.
I really like the choice of the helmet. It's like that
Oh,
sort of.
yeah.
It's the colour matching on the helmet's really cool.
It's cool. Nice shot. Thank you very much. This is cool. Oh, Exorcist. Yeah, this
So-
is a super cool shot.
We do try to make sure that a varied selection of commanders get the opportunity to win the paint job through stellar screenshots. And at the same time, we do have players who are just so on point with their stellar photography. They're real veterans and take amazing pictures and have already won all of them, but sometimes we just can't not share them. And this one, I thought, Commander Exorcist, who is a real, like I say, veteran of taking in-game shots, has really nailed it here. So
I
had to
saw
include
this.
one.
Yeah, I saw this one on Twitter, and I think it was like there was a set of like 3 shots, and they're all outstanding. I think it's all around the same ringed gas giant, but they're all outstanding shots, like absolute weldies. So yeah, I can understand why it's here.
Managed to make planet rings look like an ocean. It
Yeah.
literally looks like you're sort of sitting on that cliff looking out at the sea.
Yeah.
That's just wow.
Yeah, such a cool shot. Well done, again, Commander Exorcist.
Up next, we have a shot here from Physitron again. So I guess the theme of this week is going to be the Stargoids are arriving, essentially. So we've got a few of these where, you can feel the anticipation of everything that's coming in Update 14. I imagine next week there's going to be a slightly different theme.
They have a name.
Sorry?
Rogue
Signal
Source.
Source. Sorry, but we know what our community are calling them, Darren. We can't just hide.
We had to use the people's vernacular.
There's a scientific reason behind them being called rogue signal source.
Go ahead.
Because a rogue body or a rogue
Yes.
object is an object which doesn't belong to a star. It's not part of a stellar orbit, and these things move between star systems.
But there's also a reason, Darren, people named the boat him at Boatface, all right? So I understand that there is a scientific reason for stuff, and then there's people's reasons, all right? So I'm going to go with the people. I understand.
You have crystalline structures, and then you've got spiky boys.
I feel like this is maybe this is why they're attacking.
Yeah, they've realised we're such a low intellect over here. They're just like, we'll just kill them. It's not worth it.
Stargoid, you what?
Right, okay, but this is another cool shot. I like this because you get the feeling of this person just watching this thing pass by, and you can see, obviously, that's on the edge of a crater, which is really cool, but it's very foreboding. Like, this feels like, like every, is it Roland Emmerich film, just before disaster strikes, and they watch it, oh, there goes the asteroid. So, oh dear.
But I mean, it's just like that person in the clip, right?
Yeah.
They're just like,
oh, that's not right. But yeah, really cool shot, and I love this. So well done, Physitron. Nice shot.
Sorry. So this is a shot from Callus rocking one of the. So the reason I included this one is if you look carefully at it, you can tell it's been.
It's a crate.
It's been damaged, and I think we're looking at the edge of one of the maelstroms. In fact, so it's gone in and got a little bit of a caustic burn on it.
it's a caustic burn, and it's the azimuth.
And I found that
paint job,
right, exactly. So I found that a little kind of artistic.
Ironic.
Yeah, there you go.
Brilliant.
So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it is.
If you listen really closely, you can hear him scream, "We deserve this!"
Yes. Well, salvation, say what you want, but maybe he was right. Maybe he knew what was coming. Anyone ever thought about that? Maybe he was just like, look, these things are going to come and kill us. Maybe he wasn't good enough, but maybe he was still right. Maybe. Just saying it's an option. Next shot.
Psychic's screaming right now.
Maybe it's the next shot. Maybe we should move on to the next picture. This is cool. Nice, happy picture.
This is the one I was talking about. That's my favourite planet port layout.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Gorgeous, and it looks so good when it's on fire.
Paul? Oh no, it's not. It's Darren. Sorry, we're confused then.
Maybe next week we'll get the exact same shot from the Cos G, but
just behind the ship will be a Thargoid chasing the ship as well. It's like
we'll just say don't actively let the Thargoids attack and burn locations just to get a picture. That's
for the gram.
I mean, that's for the gram.
Thargoids like that. Just like yeah. Oh god.
Actually, we had commanders that were taking the.
Oh, we've got spell fees.
We've got spell fees.
We've got spell fees.
Have we got any spell fees in front of like a burning pot?
Oh, now you've asked for it, Darren. Okay, there we go. There's a chat. Can we have some Thargoid War spell fees? I mean,
hi, Mum.
I'm here on the front line. Thumbs up, hooray!
So the starport you've lived in your whole life is like on fire. Everyone's evacuating, and you've just got one of the pilots who's come to help.
You say that. I have literally seen online like videos of people or pictures of people that have like left an actual burning building. Like there's been and then they're taking selfies, and it's like
yeah. I mean, it's we're interested to see what spell fees come out next week. Darren's asked for it. I'm sure the community will provide. So if systems fall because there are too many commands taking spell fees, though, Darren, then it's your fault.
Okay, like I'm not saying that I've got a horse in the race, because I've got a bug in the race.
Yeah, right, okay, but this is a great shot by Nico Zigi, I think.
Sure, we can call them that. I'm sure they won't mind.
Cool, and then we've got Ramrot here. This is Bruce. You're our
Well, I know what this is. This is a Void Heart.
Oh, I think we're going to give it
a spiky, glowy little.
Spiky, glowy boy.
It's basically a space tumbleweed, isn't it? With a candle inside.
Basically, a space tumbleweed with a candle.
No, it's basically space tumbleweed in it. It was the in it that did it for me.
Yeah. So, space spiky boy tumbleweed with a candle in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's great.
It's a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah. It's a jack-o'-lantern. Yeah. This is cool. No ship in this shot, right? I'm correct. Sometimes they hide somewhere within, but I can't see one. But this is a really cool shot of the star coming over. I'm assuming that's a gas giant, right? Or is it an ammonia world or something I'm seeing there? What do we think?
Oh, what?
I think Tom might know what planets these spawn around. Tom set up these life forms. So
okay.
Tom might know what planet that is just by knowing that that's a Void Heart, but I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Sure.
It might be ammonia.
Star mechs, they are in fact Void Hearts. That is what they're actually called. They aren't space tumbleweeds, as our homemade science officer has said. They are.
He did spumbleweeds.
Spumbleweeds. Oh God. Sorry. Stella tomatoes? Did you call them?
Tomato.
Oh right. Okay. All right. Okay. So great shot, Remo. It's a lovely shot of those. This is wow. I have not seen this.
Yeah, I had to pick this one when I saw it.
That doesn't look real.
Rob PC came out with this just absolute banger.
This is incredible.
It's minimalist, but so stylish.
Wow.
I'm always getting kind of like an Art Deco vibe from
Yes, yeah. This is really, really cool. I go so far to say so far it's my favourite this week. Just because I've never seen anything like this, like using the rings in this way to divide the picture is so clever.
I also think it's just like if you look at that and then you compare it to like Commander Exorcists, where it was like very horizontal and it made it look like a C. This makes it almost look like they're going down a vertical. Like you almost want to turn your head and you're like, how are they doing that?
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I love this picture. Nice. And we know what this is. It's Dalton Chase in that ship. Guys, I made it. I'm here now. Guys. So I believe this is the Kingfisher.
Did Sally ever get a hold of him?
No, apparently his phone's still going off the phone.
Yeah,
he's still going off the phone. Apparently he's really, really busy. He feels bad, apparently. He feels really bad. And I think has admitted, well, I'm sure he will, that maybe it was a mistake. Maybe the Kingfisher was a mistake.
I mean, poor old Mr. Chase, he's fallen in Sally's eyes, I think, not quite as esteemed as he once was. Whenever I raised him he's been the topic of conversation, Sally's been less than impressed recently.
Yeah, he's definitely not in the good books. But this is a great shot of the wreckage of the Kingfisher. I guess probably a victim of the vanguard of what was to come. So they tried. Give them that. They went out there and flashed some lights. Maybe
a good old college try.
Played a flute or something. Tried a bit of jazz. After Robin explained that, the Thargoid jazz.
Plenty of tea.
Loads of tea. Just not enough. So there's a python there just having a little look.
Maybe they wanted hard liquor. Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe it was. That should have been it, right? It should just load it up with booze and then just watch the rogue signal start going to and just sort of deviate massively as it gets lost. It's just like, oh, I'm not sure I'm supposed to be going.
Maybe give them enough booze and they were like, humanity are not so bad.
They're all right.
Instead, you gave them caffeine. You hyped them
up. Hyped them up massively.
It's like when you wind up the dog and it just gets all excited.
Yeah. But a really cool shot. And another one from St. Julian. This is really cool. Showing about the ship.
So I appreciate they're similar ones, but I just thought this was really cool as well and showed it from another angle.
Yeah.
A few more of the debris pieces in
Well,
there.
this is cool because there's
another Starboy
Tyrannus in the background.
Sorry, Rogue Signal Source up there, right in the centre, overlooking the work it's done.
Yeah. So I really like that shot actually, despite it having another crate in it.
Can't get enough of them crates.
Yeah, but that one's pink.
Which contrasts really nicely with all the green hues.
Whatever.
Pink and green do go. They're just.
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, we have an entry from Troubled Artist here. And again, it's your favourite station again?
Yeah, I love that layout.
There you go, Station C, right?
I think it's C.
Planetport C.
There's a good chance it's not. It's like G or something, and I'm just completely wrong. I can never remember.
Here's some homework for you, Darren.
It's the round one.
You have to give
I like
it a
the
proper
round one.
name before the next show, and your face has to be in one of those adverts on the side of the building. I'm Darren, and this is my favourite starport in the game.
Darren approved.
Darren approved.
My face only turns up when the Thargoids are attacking, and it's just like this massive grin.
Yeah, cool. It's the Troubled Artist. Another great shot. Nice and clean.
Yeah, I found
really
it
like
really
this.
postcardy.
Yeah,
like,
really
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Wish you were here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of players in certain systems at the moment who wish they were in a system as serene as this. So enjoy it.
Well, I wonder if the system is even serene anymore. I mean, like I say, this is going to be a week old, isn't it? So.
Well, aren't you just a font of happiness?
Maybe it's all.
To be honest, that's some really chaotic terrain they've got in the background. Like that is not an easy drive.
Be good for hiking.
I mean, it depends on how much you like to hike.
I mean, not a lot. Look at me, Darren. I like to roll down a hill. Let's climb one.
One trip, and you are not making your way back.
No.
You're just gone. You're a goner. That's a quick Apex call, isn't it?
Yeah. I made a terrible decision here.
I've gotten to the top of this mountain, and I'm definitely not coming down. Can you pick me up?
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one. I'm conscious of
that is actually
the last
going to
one.
wrap things up for Stellar Screenshots, which brings us to
Should have picked more.
The tail end of the show. Should have picked more. So, well, like I say, we do have 10 that we pick every week, and we have tried showing 20 in one show, but it just does get a bit long. So sorry if you won last week. Congratulations all the same, and congratulations to all of our winners this week. And we hope you enjoy your exclusive paint jobs for your troubles. So yeah, thanks again, Darren, for coming on.
Yes.
I actually want to thank a few of the people involved in the show. So we've got Tom Kay, obviously, who was already on in a pre-recorded interview. So hopefully you all enjoyed that. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to thank you as well, Arthur, for co-hosting with myself. Although I'm co-hosting today because you said that I'm the sous chef.
These are words that never left my mouth. You literally said to me 30 seconds before we went on, are you going to open the show? And I was like, I don't mind. You went, okay, so you're opening the show then. So don't make this a thing, Bruce, all right?
Guys, Mum and Dad are fighting.
It's been a pleasure to be on your show, Arthur. Thank you very much. Thank you, Adam, as always, producer Adam, who has
Do they know where Adam... Has anyone found Adam, by the way, chat?
It's somewhere back there.
Should we do the big reveal for anyone who's not actually found
Has anyone found Adam?
Producer Adam. I think I saw a few comments who did manage to spy him, but he is in the background somewhere.
Do we have an enhanced version of where he's been?
No,
we don't. So if you want, if you want to, and I'm not sure I ever want to say these words, but if you look at Bruce's armpit, and then just below Bruce's armpit, which is he's just there he is. There he is.
Give him a little tickle. Oh, his head started to.
There he is. He's just down there. Crashing his head. So thank you, as always, thank you to Adam, the producer.
Yes, and thank you all for watching. Do make sure to join us in a couple of weeks' time for our final show of the year. It's going to be a holiday special where we'll be seeing more of Darren and some other guests as well, giving away lots of prizes, having a lot of fun and celebrating a whole another year of Elite Dangerous. So we do hope you will join us for that. In the meantime, for more Elite Dangerous content, do stick around. We're going to raid Psyche from the Elite Partner Program, so do check them out, and hopefully you'll get your first chance to earn one of the exclusive streamer versions of the Snowfall paint job. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon.
Thanks a lot, everyone. 07 everyone.